Voice, your station.
This is Around the Northwest. Now, how about some homemade honey, some fresh honey from your own hive? If you've ever had an interest in that, there is an introduction to beekeeping taster evening happening next Wednesday. That's at 7:30. And I'm delighted now that Colin Maguire from the Three Rivers Beekeepers Association joins me. There was supposed to be one other, but a few technical issues. But we do have Colin, and we're streaming this as well on Facebook. So, Colin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, John. It's lovely to be on talking to you.
And talking about a subject that's obviously close to your heart, because I'd say a lot of beekeepers are not in it for the money.
That's one thing, John, that I'm not in it for, just for the love of it. I'm only into my third year, and it's probably one of the things that I really enjoy doing. It's
Right.
just for the love of it. Yeah, people goes on it. There's people goes on it the big way for honey production and stuff, and for money. But
Yeah.
that doesn't register with me at all.
But for most people, it would be a hobby, and if they get something out of it, get their own honey, they're happy enough.
That's a bonus. The honey's a wee bonus now. If we had been down in Highland today, you were talking about a taster evening in Doneylip. If we were in Highland today, we could have brought you down some and you could have tasted it.
I'd have loved. I'd have loved
well,
to.
Well,
I don't
maybe
think I've
send a
ever.
jar down the road.
I do for
I
sure.
will.
And tell me, how much honey do you get? I mean, is you said there that it's a bonus when you get honey, but is it almost guaranteed, or is it the amount that's just not guaranteed?
The amount not guaranteed, John. As I say, I'm relatively new in beekeeping. I've learnt a lot about them. I've done quite a few courses on them, gathering up experience with my own hives and some of my friends. The honey last year, apparently, for people that's been at it a lifetime, it was one of the worst years in about 40 years for beekeeping. Remember the real, not last year, sorry, the year before it, the first year of the
Okay.
pandemic. It was nothing to do with COVID. It was to do with the real, remember we had the real hot weather in March,
Yep.
April,
Early
May,
on, yeah.
and it just nothing seemed to work right with bees at all that year. So
Oh,
last year was amazing for bees. Amazing. I
okay.
think it was one of the best years in recent times. How much honey would you get from a hive? It depends on the strength of the colony, where you're located. I have a friend, a brother of mine actually. He has one hive, and he could have took maybe 200 jars from that one hive.
Oh, wow.
Some hives you might get 20 jars from. So
And
it's all
are
different.
there different numbers of bees in every hive? Are some hives bigger than others, or is it just how
Hey,
productive the bees are?
a mixture of everything, John. A mixture of everything. You start off if you're starting beekeeping. You'll start off with a very small colony, a nucleus colony, we call them, and then you gradually build it into a bigger colony. A full production colony could have 60, 70,000 bees in it.
Right.
In
And
each hive.
are they dangerous? Because you hear about bees, and you hear about that sort of a number, and you're thinking, oh, stay well clear of them. Are they dangerous for you? And what about the neighbours? Are they a nuisance for the neighbours?
No, no, not at all. If they're managed, it's all about managing them, John. Yes, it's part of beekeeping. You get the odd wee sting, if you're working with bees, but
Mm.
generally not. Now, I have at home, I have maybe 8 hives at the back of the property. They're maybe 20 meters from the patio area. In the summertime, we would all sit out, friends, family, visitors, and nobody. They don't bother
No
anybody.
bother.
They don't
No
bother them
bother.
at all.
All
If you
right.
don't bother them, they don't bother you. Like the last thing a bee wants to do is sting you. For if it stings you, it dies. So that's the last thing a honeybee wants to do.
So you don't have to be out smoking them all the time and stuff like that.
No, 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 no. If you're working with them, John, yeah, you would sometimes. I tend not to use too much smoke. I tend not to use the smoker at all. Some
Right.
people use it. It does calm them down a wee bit, if you're working with them. So,
Right.
but no, generally, as a rule, no, they would just be flying past you, minding their own
Right.
business. So
You're well trained.
I
And,
have.
and is there a lot of work attached to it, or is it a case of setting it up and then just letting them do what bees
There
do?
is there is a lot of work, John, and that's why we're trying to promote the course as well. Some people would maybe get into bees, they would buy bees online. They would get bees. They haven't a clue what they're doing. Not saying it in a bad way, but there's a lot of work managing them, and you're on about neighbours and stuff. If you don't manage them properly, they can become a nuisance. They can, swarm. They could end up in somebody's house. But if the whole idea is staying on top of it, and you need to know the information, and you need to know how to do it. And that's why we're trying to promote the course, to teach people these things.
Okay.
So.
But the end product makes it all worthwhile, or at least mostly worthwhile. And I'd say you're well in with the family if you're getting that many pots out of a good year. Then
It is.
Spreading it around.
Anyone, I haven't sold any honey, John. I've had a few jars of honey last year, and I just give them to friends and family. Or anybody calls up to the house, they always go away with the jar of honey, and they always come back looking for more. They say it's the difference in day and night and the locally produced honey than the stuff that you buy in the shops. It's a different product altogether. It's unreal. Unreal.
And I'd say you'd find different uses for honey. It's that good.
There is, John, and actually, like without deviating or going away from the whole course thing and stuff, but we have a honey here in Ireland. It comes at the end of the years. It comes from heather honey. When you mention honey, people start talking about Manuka honey and stuff like that. But there's actually a big study done last year in Trinity where the heather honey would have more healing properties than Manuka honey. So it's good gear here, but Ireland is a country we don't promote it enough.
Yeah.
So we don't. So
we produce plenty of honey, but we just don't promote that fact.
Yeah. The local, but it seems to be coming around. People are coming around to it now, and there's a lot of people, a lot of shops are stocking the local honey, and people there's a lot of cost to it, and it's a premium product, John. But people are realizing now once they buy it once, that they're going back and buying it again and again, which is great.
And heather honey even better than Manuka honey, and we know what the price of Manuka honey is. So if you're able to keep your own bees and make your own honey, or maybe heather, there's different types of honey. You say heather honey, so there must be other types as well.
Well, that's basically where it comes from the heather and the mountains, But yes, there'll be different tastes of honey, different types of honey throughout the year. You'd have this spring flowers, and then you would have your summer flowers, and then autumns, and it comes from trees everywhere. So every jar of honey could be, or every batch of honey could be a different taste,
Okay.
So it's really interesting.
And is it a lot of money to get started? I mean, how much would a hive cost you?
Can be expensive to get into it, John. You can get into it all guns blazing. It could cost you a lot of money. A hive, somebody starting off, the time you buy your first hive, your bees, your equipment, your PPE as such, I would say minimum maybe £600, but you could spend up to £1,000, £1,200 getting started off. But that's initial cost. Yeah. And then as you build up your own bees and stuff in, so it doesn't be as costly. And
right.
They provide for themselves then.
Okay.
It's a startup cost.
Yeah. It'd be tempting to put a wee charge on the pots, even if you haven't done that to date. But if anybody's collecting pots of honey from you, feel free to give a donation for the bees.
Well, my intentions is, I suppose, next year. This year I was building them up a lot, but personally, my intentions next year I'll have a lot of honey next year too. So I'll probably try and get it into a few local shops and stuff, So we'll see. The plans don't always work, do they?
No, and especially when there's different elements at play, I suppose, like the weather and the form of the bees and whatever. Because it sounds like it's not black and white, that it might depend on where your hives are located, what the weather's like, what kind of form the bees are in.
It's a mixture of everything, John. It's a mixture of everything. Everything could be running sweet one week, and the next week all hell breaks loose. So it's a matter of keeping on top of it. But I suppose that's why we're in it, and every day, I suppose, every day is a school day, no matter what you're doing. But I'm actually doing this preliminary course is starting next week. For beginners or people that are looking to get into it. We're actually doing another course at the minute. I'm doing it myself. That's the next level, if you like. It's a level 3 course in them, and it really goes into depth about the honeybees and stuff. And they're fascinating wee things. So there.
But for those who want to get started, the introduction next week would be brilliant. It's a taster evening, and what's involved. It's just sort of outlining a lot of the stuff we talked about, the cost and the amount of work that's involved, and things like that.
There is I suppose for everything else, COVID and stuff. This last couple of years, the whole thing has been up in arms. We were ploughing on there on Zoom and stuff, But next week on the 16th. In the Doneloop, out in Doneloop. You'll see all the information on the Three Rivers Facebook page. If you just type in Three Rivers
Beekeepers.
Three Rivers Beekeepers Association on Facebook. There's contacts here. There's an email address and stuff like that. So anybody has any kind of interest, they can message the page. They can send an email and stuff. But as regards next week, it's basically an open evening. There's people that have signed up for the course. They're more than welcome to come face to face. If maybe somebody's thinking about going into bees, they can come out, they can have a talk and, find out a bit more about them and maybe make up their mind if it's for them or not,
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to getting back to meeting people face to face again, so we're John, to be honest. So that's the idea of that evening. Come out, ask the questions, see what's involved in it, and basically make up their mind.
Okay, it's next Wednesday evening, 7:30 in Doneloop. And for more information, just put in the Three Rivers Beekeepers Association on Facebook, and you get all the info and more on there. Colin, the best of luck with next week and beyond.
I will
tasting it.
I will send a jar down with Paul McDivitt. He can leave it for you.
Brilliant. I look forward. If he doesn't need it on the way down the road.
He'll have to get one too. John, thanks a million for having us.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Bye bye.
ESB, with the help of the Climate Action Fund, has been making significant improvements to the electric vehicle